Real Madrid's transfer window ended with a whisper of surprise. A proposal for Lucas Paquetá reached the Bernabeu in the final hours, and it wasn't dismissed out of ignorance or haste. It was studied, evaluated, and then deliberately turned down. That's the shock. Multiple Spanish outlets reported that the offer, reportedly a loan with an option to buy, came from West Ham and briefly entered the club's conversations. But Florentino Perez and the sporting leadership decided the Brazilian did not fit the profile they were building for this season. This wasn't a snap no, it was a considered rejection rooted in long-term planning and an unexpected vote of confidence in a player already at the club. Dani Ceballos. From the outside, it looks like a classic deadline drama. A high-quality name arrives, whispers swirl, pundits speculate, but the reality at Real Madrid is more nuanced. The club's recruitment brief this window prioritized specific profiles, a centre-back to partner Huijsen and a creative midfielder directly replaces the kind of minutes Ceballos would have vacated. Lucas Paquetá, for all his undoubted class, is an offensively minded operator. More direct, more attacking, and at 28 his profile doesn't align with the youth-oriented creative investment Madrid seemed to prefer. Sources close to the negotiation told reporters that Paquetá was simply not the right tactical puzzle piece for what Xabi Alonso wants to assemble at the Bernabeu. Then there's the human decision inside the coaching room. Xabi Alonso's voice in this process mattered, perhaps more than many expected. According to Spanish reports, Alonso made clear that as long as Dani Ceballos remained part of the squad, there was no urgent need to bring in another creative like Paquetá. Ceballos had been linked with exits earlier in the window, but when that transfer did not materialize, the coach argued for continuity and depth in midfield, preferring to retain the Spanish midfielder rather than reshuffle the midfield chemistry at the last minute. That call effectively pulled the plug on any late raid for Paquetá. It's a reminder that top clubs balance scouting intuition with coaching conviction, and sometimes the coach's preference wins. What does this mean for Lucas Paquetá and for the wider market? For Paquetá, the immediate consequence is that he remains in the mix at West Ham, at least until January, despite speculation and interest from other Premier League clubs. For the market, it's a small but telling signal. The game's elite clubs are ruthless not just about player quality, but about fit. A world-class talent can be turned away because his style, age or positional tendencies do not match the blueprint a coach is building. That lesson will ripple across Europe. Suitors who might have assumed a transfer was possible will rethink and reprice, and clubs like West Ham will be forced to either find a buyer who values Paquetá's strengths differently or reintegrate him into their own plans. There's also a narrative angle that fans love: loyalty and trust. Keeping Ceballos sends a message to the squad and to supporters that Alonso values the group's current balance and is not willing to disrupt it for a headline name. For Florentino and the board, the decision underscores a patient approach. The club would rather wait for the right profile than patch a weakness with a player who looks brilliant on paper but could create balance issues on the pitch. That discipline may frustrate some who wanted instant splash signings, but it also reflects a strategic posture that has helped Madrid navigate countless transfer windows. Finally, the fallout. Watch which clubs circle Paquetá now. If Aston Villa, Everton or another Premier League suitor decide to reignite interest, West Ham will have leverage because Madrid essentially stamped the player as available, but not essential for the very biggest project. For Real Madrid, the story is clear. A deliberate coach-led decision to prioritize fit over flash. That quiet rejection might not make the front pages forever, but it tells us more about how the club thinks this season. Careful, calculated, and coach-centric. The rest of the transfer window will adjust to that truth.